Okay. I want to ask you about the humanitarian flights.
Hmm.
Can you tell us a bit about that? Were you ever involved in any of the flights?
No, I wasn't, but there were a lot. And you see that on my webpage, and you'll see it in that video. They've always done that kind of thing. There again, tigers would take that kind of business when no one else would want to. As an example, during the Hungarian uprising, when the Hungarians that got out of the country before they slammed the gate back on them or the wall curtain, uh, here they were. They are now out of Hungary, and where are they going to go? So they were taken. A lot of them came to the U.S., but a lot of them went to Australia, and tigers flew them there. And it was part of their operation. They flew them in DC-4s back in those days. They'd fly them all the way down to Australia. And it was actually during the time of the Korean War. So, and of course, the Tigers had a big contract during the Korean War with the military. So, what they would do is they'd fly an airplane full of Hungarian refugees down to Australia because they were going to settle there. Then they would fly the airplane empty then all the way back up to Japan or to Korea to get back into their operation with the military.
I understand that the line was also involved in the airlift of the orphans, North Korea. Can you tell us about that? When
Yeah.
did that start, and what kind of volume, if you will, you were dealing with?
Well, that started just after the war, but Sue, I couldn't tell you too much about it.
Just in general, I mean.
Well, they started carrying those kids, when the war ended, and as far as the amount of them, I don't really know. But it was a lot of they were orphans, and they wanted to be. There was a lot of people in the U.S. wanted to adopt, and so the authorities that were in charge of the orphanages. Here again, who were they going to get to do it? They turned to tigers, and Tiger said, "Sure, we'll do that," and they did it. They brought them back. They did it with Greek children too. Yeah.
And what about there were airlifts, weren't there, for food
Food.
drops for? Can you give us just in general? Again,
Well,
you know.
yeah, they during Cambodian rice lift, which was and then the Namor was going on then, and of course the Cambodian Khmer Rouge were going to take over Cambodia. The U.S. government came to Tigers and asked them if they would supply the Cambodians with rice. So Tiger said, "Sure, we'll do that," and they carried a huge amount of rice into Cambodia, with mortar shells landing outside the runway. And when they were unloading that rice, they would leave an engine running on the airplane, because if they shut it down, it would be too hard and take too long to get it started up. So they would leave their engine run, they would unload that rice, start up the other engines, and off they would go. And well, of course, it was a failure because the Khmer Rouge took it over. But yeah, they did. They supplied a tremendous amount of rice to them. And then they had other refugee or flights to. I'm trying to think of.
Here, okay.
Yeah.
Take a look.
Yeah.
So it's just nice for you to recap the history. That's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
interesting, because I was very surprised. I didn't realize.
You can
Really
see it.
take a look.
You can see a lot of that on. Oh, you downloaded all this. Oh,
On the
that's
tape, you
interesting. Yeah, yeah. On the tape, you can see a lot of it.
Um, besides a lot of these humanitarian flights being a totally commercial venture, did it mean more than that to the company and perhaps, the people who put Tiger Lines together? Was it like a mission that they wanted to accomplish?
Yeah, it was, because the pilots on several occasions they'd go to the company and say, look, there was an earthquake, and let's go help those people out. How about carrying supplies of food and medical supplies to them? We'll fly the airplane, they'd say, for pro bono, and if you'll supply the airplane and the fuel, and the company would do it. And they did it more than once.
When?
Well, they did it to the Armenian earthquake victims. They did it in Africa in 1985. It's happened so many times that I'd have to look at a book to get the dates, but it was not uncommon for them to do it, for all of us to do it, and they enjoyed it. The pilots, in fact, in the Armenian lift, even some of the flight attendants went along, because they took first of all, if you're going to fly an airplane like a 747, anytime you have more than a certain amount of people, you have to have a flight attendant along also. So flight attendants said, well, okay, we'll go too. We'll do that.
Do you think all this spirit is testimony of the legacy of the AVG days, the Flying Tigers, helping China before the United States was even involved in World War II and war with Japan? Can you just expand on that a bit?
Well, I think that is what you're asking. It is the spirit of the Flying Tiger and the AVG, and it's just been carried over into the company and to all of the employees at Tigers, not only the pilots and the flight attendants, but the mechanics and the ground staff. Whatever that spirit was still in that airline, and they wanted to be able to say, well, Tigers helped, and they were very proud of it.
And you have quite a real camaraderie when it comes to these conventions or reunions. How significant is that? Is that, again, testimony of perhaps people trying to keep a memory alive and not let the name Flying Tigers be a blip in history, even not just military history? Can you tell us about that?
Well, it is. People. I'm astounded at the amount of people that come to these reunions, and there's more and more of them, because a lot of the younger people that were hired by Tigers that then went on to the merger with Federal Express, they still want that connection with Tigers, and and a lot of the older folks, they're getting up in years. Well, the spirit of the Flying Tigers has always stuck with all of the employees. It doesn't matter if you talk to me or if you went over to one of the office staff and talked to them, a girl working in payroll, or a middle manager out trying to sell space on an airplane. If you talk to them, they were always very, very proud to say that they were a Flying Tiger. And they were very, very, they had a huge spirit about it when they talked that way. And that same thing is what's carrying over to our reunions. And I just think, I find more and more that it's going to continue.